Welcome to the Pledge Training Podcast. I am here with another strength guru who makes me feel really small and like I don't even lift. His name is Richard. Tell us a little bit about your background, experience, your education, why you got into being the strength guy.
Yeah, I guess I was never really strong at all. Like in high school, all through middle school and high school, I swam. I started swimming varsity swim team.
Swimmer,
Yeah,
okay.
So, 7th grade through like 11th grade, I swam year round for a team up in Spartanburg, South Carolina called YSSC. It was a really competitive team. We had like 2-hour practice in the morning, 2-hour practice at night. So.
My husband was a swimmer, and I feel like it just creates a special type of person.
Yeah, it's definitely a grind for sure. You have to get used to your hair smelling like chlorine all the time. And,
yeah.
It's a brutal sport.
Staring at a line.
That's why I quit.
Yeah,
I was like, at a certain point, once my friends left, they pursued other sports and stuff, and I didn't really have too many people that I had grown up with, that I was competitive with, and staring at that line on the bottom of the pool just no longer.
Yeah.
Really, I started skipping swim practice to go lift weights. So
that's
how I found
playing
weightlifting.
hooky to go lift.
Yeah. Pretty much, my coaches would yell at me. They thought they were under the old school belief of like you're gonna get muscle bound and slow from lifting weights, which everyone knows is not true now.
Yeah.
And they were just that old school mentality, and so I just kind of, at that point, I was like, screw authority, anyways. Rebellious 15-year-old. So I was like, I'm gonna work out, And then fell in love with just lifting weights, and always kind of like admired like other guys, other guys had great physiques, and I was like,
yeah.
I want that, like always admired like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
How did your body change?
Oh, it was ridiculous.
From swimming.
It was like, I attribute good shoulders and back to my swimming career for sure. And I've always had a good overhead press and a good deadlift. And I think a lot was from developing those muscles during those early years. But I went from 145 to like 180 within a year.
Dang.
Just like put on some size, and it feels good, I think, and I gained a lot more confidence in like just in school and social life. Like I'd always been like the nerdy. I played music growing up and stuff, and I played the cello, and during that time the cello was bigger than I was, and so at a few points I remember in middle school I had to get my girlfriend to carry my cello for me because I was too weak to do it. So, it was pretty embarrassing.
So that is how strength athletes are made.
Yes, being very weak at the start usually.
Hey babe.
Yeah, pretty much. So and so that kind of grew into as I started lifting weights and getting stronger, like I just got more confidence in school and around other people my age and stuff, and it gave me something to be competitive with everyone else with. It was a lot of fun. So.
Yeah. So now would you say that you specialize in powerlifting, or what would you say?
I don't think I'm not old enough, but I don't think I'm experienced enough to specialize in anything yet.
Fair.
I'm still kind of putting out my feelers. So I competed in bodybuilding when I was 18 or 19. I got my pro card in a natural bodybuilding organization, which is cool.
Yeah.
But it's also very easy to do. It sounds bad, but it's like a lot of the natural organizations definitely like give out pro cards. Like my old coach used to say that it was like a prize in the Cracker Jack box. And like, look, I got my pro card. And it's like, what now? And the key with pro natural bodybuilding is like you're never going to get paid for it, and even if you do win money at a competition, that usually just goes to like a quarter of the food you bought during the prep. So
or your spray tan.
Yeah, exactly. It's like never enough. I remember when I got my pro card, I got like a tub of protein powder. Like
that was it?
Yeah, that was it. So,
seriously?
That was it. And a sword, which was cool.
The sword's dope.
Right.
How big was it?
It's like a legit like
a real sword?
Yeah, like a legit sword. I think that's the coolest trophy I've gotten.
Yeah.
That's common in bodybuilding. They give away like weapons and armor. And it's like I would
love a suit of armor.
That'd be cool.
I would compete for that.
Yeah. I like the bronze statue kind of look. Like if I could carry home like a nice like something I can put on a trophy case, like that'd be cool. But no, a sword on the
like you feel like IKEA furniture might not be able to hold the weight.
Right. Yeah, like the Mr. Olympia is a that's a 40-pound bronze sculpture. And like these guys just
That's
I won, and like they're holding it with one hand up here. And you're like, holy shit!
Just gonna do some front raises.
It's nuts, dude. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, so I competed in bodybuilding 18, 19, won my pro card, and then just like got so burnt out with 6 day a week like workouts to absolute failure, and just like I think always being in that mentality, like the workouts slowly started to climb. And then I started getting into, I was tired of my joints hurting all the time, so I got into strength training. And because it was like minimum effective dose of what's the least I can do to produce a result. And I wasn't strong at that point at all. I think my max squat was like, 250.
When you were doing bodybuilding.
Yeah. And then I was benching maybe like 185, like not good numbers at all. And it was like, all right, you can train 3 days a week and just go up 5 pounds a session and just do a linear progression and a little progressive overload. And then I got up to like 405 I got 420 for 3 sets of 3 on squats like within like 6 months. And I was like, wow, this is fun.
You're definitely a strength responder.
Yeah, it was nice. It was like a really good progression up. And obviously as a novice, like you have newbie gains and like if you keep going in that progression, you'd be lifting 1,000 pounds in a year. That doesn't happen. But, it definitely teaches you patience after a while. And I just like really fell in love with the feeling of like mastering a skill versus like what I look like in the mirror. I found by doing that I still liked what I look like in the mirror. So
you're like, that's still on point.
It still works. So it was a good time. And then, so in the last 6 months or so, did Highland Games. 2 Highland Games.
Yeah.
One was a mix between Strongman and Highland, and that's...
What's the difference between Strongman and Highland Games?
Okay, so Strongman's like pick up a bunch of random heavy things.
Okay.
Either for time or for reps.
Okay.
So one of the events was like a car deadlift where you like, they have a jack under a car.
What kind of a car?
It was like a crossover, like a CRV, and they had a different car for each weight class, which I thought was cool.
Wow, yeah. I'm trying to like visualize here.
Yeah, the heavyweight class did like at the back of a truck with like 300 pounds loaded into the back of the bed. My weight class did the crossover with like probably 200 pounds in the trunk, so they weigh it down a little bit more.
Right.
But I don't know. If I had to equate it, it felt like a rack pull of like 400 pounds at the top, and then you do max reps for a minute. And I got 21 reps, and I think first place got like 28 reps. So it was a lot of fun.
That is pretty
cool.
funny.
So,
I mean, that looks a lot cooler than doing a rack pull.
Yeah, exactly. You're picking up a car, and I think that's what's fun about Strongman is like people can like a car, like, or like this big boulder on the ground, and like they can relate to that looks really hard. Whereas like powerlifting, especially competitive powerlifting, I haven't done a meet yet. I'm going to in April, but no one can really tell how much weight's on the bar. They have to announce it, and then even when they announce it, it's like really hard for most people to relate to how much weight's on the bar. So unless you're in that world, hard to tell what's going on.
Yeah, the plates look like relatively small.
Right. Calibrated plates are like super thin. They look like 10-pound plates. And they're surprisingly heavy.
Yeah. Sometimes when I'm doing stuff for Instagram, I'm like, I need the 10-pound ones to make my bar look
buff
real
it up a little
fluffy.
bit. Yeah. Classic CrossFit. I see that.
I can't help it.
I see you.
I care.
No, I think that's totally. We all do it. You gotta buff up that bar a little bit.
Absolutely.
Especially if you get a nice bendy bar.
Oh
The more that bar bends, the better it looks.
Oh my god, I haven't had a picture where I could have bar bend in it. I'm not strong enough.
You just gotta get a deadlift bar. They bend it like 95 pounds.
Easy.
So good.
I can double bend it.
Exactly. Like a rainbow, Some of the strongman competitions, they're deadlifting 1,000 pounds, but the bars are so long that the moment arm makes it.
Oh man, sorry, you were saying movement arm.
Moment arm. Moment arm. That's a strength. It's a physics term, but in relation to strength, it's like you have a 0 point.
Right.
Any distance farther forward or back from that is considered a moment arm. So,
okay, so like longer.
Longer moment arm means more force on it, and usually those bars are a little bit thinner as well, so they bend under pressure. So when you're taking the slack out of a bar on a deadlift, it like bends up a little bit. So it's a good visual for a lot of people too when you're learning how to deadlift. It's like how to take the slack out.
Yeah.
So
how much longer are the bars? I mean, I would imagine they would have to be than the standard ones that you see.
They're not too much longer. I don't know the standard distance, like standard lengths and stuff like that. I'm still very new into the strength sports, but it's probably about 4 to 6 inches if I had to guess. And
okay.
It definitely feels, if you feel a comparison of the thickness, it's like a toothpick versus like a big fat like Sharpie marker. Like that's kind of the difference in the thickness of the bars, and that makes a big difference too on your grip. Like because the closer together like your fingers can be, the more grip you have. So thicker bars are usually harder to lift as well.
Man, agreed with that. I have like the CrossFit bar for the girls is a lot thinner. Yeah, it's so much easier to do.
It feels a lot better.
Everything with it.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
And I mean.
Yeah, baby hands.
Tiny.
Yeah. Some guys have those like monster hands. They just wrap around these bars. Like watching like Ford Gordonson. He's the one of the world's strongest men. I think he's won Iceland Strongest Man multiple times. He's a monster, and like he makes a regular barbell look like a pencil. It's ridiculous. And he just has monster hands. Like, he'll incline press like over 400 pounds for reps, and it makes you want to quit because like, I'm nowhere near that. But,
no, I totally gotcha. Yeah, I did a bodybuilding competition. It was super fun. But I like training for like functionality and performance. And or for a race, or for something like that. And then if I like add a couple accessory things on, like that's fine.
Yeah, totally.
But
100%.
Yeah, I can't. Like I got like a training schedule. Because I was like, hey, I'm thinking about trying to be really good at this, and I was like, let me see what a training schedule looks like, and they gave me like all these isolations, and I was like, I'm not doing it.
With bodybuilding?
Yeah,
totally. It's
like, I'm just not. I think I would hate
respect
myself.
to the people that
I
do
can't.
it all the time. Like I had the discipline for probably almost 3 years. And never like my coach was a bodybuilder in the 80s at that time, and like he really subscribed to the old school belief, like no sodium, all like white meat all the time, like no fat in your diet, just carbs and protein, like vegetables or a maybe sometimes. It's like I was on that for like 2.5 years, and I honestly I don't think I've ever felt less strong. And like props to people that thrive on that diet, but I couldn't do it again. Like you couldn't pay me enough to do it. It was just it was ridiculous, and my joints would ache all the time. At 170 pounds and like 20, I was 19, 20 years old. How much my joints ached, how weak I felt all the time. Like it wasn't normal. It was like I actually got a blood test, and like my test was like super low, especially for a 20-year-old. I really do believe it was like diet related. So once I started adding some healthy fats in my diet and eating like a normal person again, I feel like everything.
What were the levels that were off?
I can't remember all of them. I want to say my test was probably in the 400s. It was like super low for a 20-year-old.
Absolutely.
It's like a quarter of what some guys are. I don't know enough about hormones to really, say what it should
Did you get your C-reactive protein?
I don't remember.
Dang it. I'm like, because I bet you're like really inflamed. And that was like.
I mean, my tendons hurt all the time, so I wasn't surprised. Like, I mean, I remember like I had this one tendon in my bicep that it just like if I would close my fist or open up my hand, I could feel it all the way up my shoulder, and it was like constant. And I was not lifting heavy weights. I was doing, I think a lot of people attribute joint pain, tendon pain with lifting heavy, but lifting heavy is like what saved my joints in the long run. I mean, I have no back pain, no like joint pain now. Heavier.
I came from softball, but after that endurance sports for like 10, 12 years, and then I started strength training. So of course at first I was like way overdoing the volume because I came from endurance.
Yeah, it's easy to do. Like, I can keep going.
So I was like, I don't know, how many 10 sets of 10?
Right. Yeah. Just getting that German volume training,
Yeah.
Nuts.
And so then, honestly, I didn't even gain mass until I cut back the work I was doing, cut back my reps, and worked more in a 5 to 3 rep range.
Exactly.
Which is weird. Like I was working harder than anyone else.
It's counterintuitive. And so a lot of people, I butcher his last name. Pavel is a very popular strength coach. He created Strong First. He just had a really good podcast with Joe Rogan. And he talks a lot about like how strength training takes patience and how his programs, like on paper, don't look like much. Same thing with I followed the starting strength program with Mark Ripito, and same thing. Like you're gonna look at the program, let's say like squat 3 sets of 5, press 3 sets of 5, deadlift 1 set of 5. Like that's how I start most of my clients now on a linear progression. And like it looks super boring. And like it is super boring at first, especially if you're coming from something that's like much more intense and like much more load and volume.
Right.
But building up to that, like you end up hitting weights that you've never hit before, feeling better doing it, and then your recovery is like you're in a surplus of recovery at that point. And then you can base harder or more advanced programs off of the 5 rep maxes that you build up to in a basic like linear progression program, regardless of what model you follow.
Right. So. I never came across the concept of minimum effective dose until my master's program in college. And it was like, that was the key basic like concept they were talking about. So I took a class that was meant for like college strength training people. Cool. They were going to go be strength trainers for college sports.
Like D1 level kind of things.
Right. So just hopped in there.
Right.
And it was cool. One of the first lectures was talking about minimum effective dose. Like
that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's such a rare concept.
And I was, of course, like mind blown. I was like, what? I do more work so I can beat people.
Exactly. And it's so counterintuitive, but the way to think about it, especially for athletes, is your sport is not lifting weights.
Right.
Your sport is doing well on the field, and when you're lifting weights, the priority should be injury prevention.
Correct.
Or just avoidance of injury. It doesn't have to. I think you'll go a little overboard with prehab, and we live in the age of mobility right now. And,
that's true.
I really do believe that you can, like, if you're not already injured, you can warm up for a squat with bodyweight squats, with like opening up your hips, sitting at the bottom of a squat. Like, you can use that minimum effective dose to like really limit your exercise selection.
Yeah.
Because then you can say like, if something starts hurting, you can say like, what is causing this? And if you have 1,000 exercises in a workout, or even 20 exercises in a workout, like you can't really pick out which one is causing the issue. Or if on the contrary, you can't figure out which one is fixing the issue.
Right.
So if you have 3 exercises, you're like, oh, I'm doing low bar squats and like sumo deadlifts. Very frequently, my adductor starts hurting. Now I know what it is, and then you can add something in, and you take something out to fix that, and you're like, oh, well, when I did that, it either made no change, a positive change, or negative one.
It's a much more controlled experiment.
Yes, exactly. And like I think the people that treat their workout programs like experiments and like academics, like they usually last longer.
Yeah. So. I completely agree.
Good. Yeah. I once I found that that kind of theory and that kind of system, it completely changed my view on training. Pavel also like talked about a champion has the eye of the tiger on the platform or on the field, but in the weight room he treats it as the working man. Like
interesting.
That's a really cool concept.
Okay.
It's like you're going to work. It shouldn't be fancy or special. You're sticking to the program.
Right.
Just clocking in and clocking out.
Cool. You're just a normal person. You come in.
Do your thing. Get out. And then when it matters, if you're a normal person and you don't really have competition lined up, like maybe program a max out day or like a max rep day, that's when it matters. That's when you're going for that extra rep. Day. Yeah, because like if you always go for the extra rep, or like I can do 5 more pounds today.
Got it. Yeah.
Much easier to get injured. Much easier to get some overtraining or under recovery, whichever you prefer. So,
right.
You know, it's much easier to fall into that if you're just always going as hard as you can. You know.
Dang, yeah. Speaking of which, I'm just about to have like a not running period to let my ankle recover.
Gotcha.
From so like everybody sprained their ankle at this race. Like I was not the only one.
Really?
There were like 4 other pro girls.
Wow.
That like sprained their freaking ankle.
Do you think it was the track or like?
Yeah, it was pouring down rain and it was massively slippery and we ran through creeks.
That's sketchy.
I know, and I just like have been thinking like, hey, it's just gonna heal. It's gonna heal. It's not gonna heal. I'm gonna wear a freaking brace and not run for a while. But anyways, I'm like mentally preparing.
Yeah.
Because for a while, like running has been like my anxiety medication and my meditation, and
I think it is for a lot of people.
Yeah.
That happened to me a few months ago. I slipped in the shower, which is a total old man injury. Like,
yeah.
But there's soap on the floor, and I just slipped, and my leg went out, and my adductor caught it, and it was my adductor had already been really sore. For a few weeks, I've been like training my squat up a lot, and there's a little overuse there, but it wasn't hurting by any means. But the slip was kind of that like last straw, and it got my squat went from 405, 420 to like literally couldn't even do a body weight squat at one point. It was like very, very depressing on that. And then it's taken like 6 months to get back up to it. But now I'm back in the high 300s and it's working well to go back up. But it is such a, and that was a minor injury. So I can't imagine like sprained ankle or broken ankle.
Right, like I'm just waiting. I'm like, all right, time to start training hard for Spartan season. And I'm like, never mind.
Kind of tender.
Maybe 2020 late, maybe 2021. See how it goes.
But I think the minimum effective dose can be used for that as well.
Yeah.
You know, I think had I taken that when I hurt my adductor, if I had just like continued very light squatting with the range of motion that did not hurt and kind of used a pain scale and said like, what is, like I use that for my clients, like if it's a 3 out of 10 or less and we go super slow and it doesn't hurt at all, let's do that versus I'm just not going to do this at all because I can't.
Right.
Or
because I can't go all the way.
Exactly. And I think so many people fall into that. There's like, well, I can't do my best, so I'm not going to do it at all.
I'm done.
Exactly. And like you would never think about that for like anything else. You wouldn't like I'm gonna butcher the analogy, but someone was like, if so someone stole $10 out of your pocket, would you just like
burn the rest of the wallet?
Like burn your whole wallet or like throw away the rest of your savings? Like no, you'd be like, all right, that sucks, and like keep going.
Yeah.
Know? So I think people should adopt that a little bit more.
I like that analogy.
Yeah, I butchered it. That's not the correct term. But, I'll definitely try to find that. the real analogy.
Right. Or if there's like a YouTube video or something,
probably
I can just embed it.
Exactly. That'll work.
Or if not, we'll just put a YouTube video of money burning.
Yes,
That'll
exactly. Just a GIF, like a GIF, whatever you call it.
I don't know how to pronounce it.
I think it's a GIF
or GIF.
I think it's GIF.
GIF. Yeah.
That's it.
What does it stand for?
It
has to.
It's a graphic interface photograph. I don't know. Film. That with a PH. Something like that. I don't know. I'm sure all the computer scientists that are listening to this are going to be like real mad.
Oh, for sure.
For sure. It's GIF.
All the angry will be all the comments.
Yeah, all the comments just streaming down. That'll be good. We can do a second podcast on the correct usage of the word GIF.
GIF. I was gonna say, as far as mobility, and you sort of touched on this a second ago, it's like the era of prehab and mobility. So me and my husband were talking about this, and so I like to think of a lot of like doing a variety of different movements and through the full range as being the best mobility that I can do.
I agree.
Like when I am constantly, doing everything in full range, like I notice that stuff doesn't get tight stuff. I don't lose any
range of motion.
Right.
Yeah. I agree. Totally agree.
And like the only time that I have trouble with range of motion is when I'm running too damn much. Like it's it's a over like
right.
Yeah, it's like 50 or 60 miles.
Jesus.
Well, because like
I don't think I've run that much in my life collectively.
Yeah, I was trying to so I wanted to place top 3 at a Spartan race this year, and
That's
I
awesome.
might have to wait till next year, because like that's the type of mileage, like you're pretty much like
50 to 60 a week.
So some girls can do it with about 30 to 40, but like I'm a high mileage person.
You respond better to that.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I just do. So anyways, I can't put that in right now.
Got you.
Yeah.
Scott was, Scott.
Yeah.
Lord. He was telling me yesterday about some marathon trainer, top level guy that was experimenting with like concentric only deadlifts. And, because like, I think the theory behind it was that eccentric loading kind of causes more hypertrophy and also more soreness in the athletes, and so by building in concentric only work, you could build power and strength in that motion. You're talking about running athletes. You're not you're not necessarily trying to deadlift 500 pounds for a runner, So we're talking about relative strength and power, but they found without changing the running program at all, but utilizing that type of strength program protocol, that they were able to marathon runners were able to like drastically improve their time. So, really interesting concept.
I feel like also that could have been like for some reason joint and tendon stiffness is a big deal for runners.
Okay.
And I bet those eccentric deadlifts had a lot to do with that, like a tighter coil.
Yeah. I can see some relationship to that. I don't know enough about running.
And also it'd be nice because it'd be putting the mass like higher on your leg, which with the whole lever concept, like you don't want a beefy calf. Like
totally.
Yeah.
I think look at most runners, like they don't have like massive legs unless they're like sprinters. That's like a fast twitch muscle fiber, So you gotta have those built up a little bit. But again, don't know enough about running to super talk about it. But and I don't like talking on things that I'm not super knowledgeable about because I don't want to butcher. What I'm
some
saying.
runner wants to jump through here.
What's this guy talking about?
Oh my gosh.
But I find like in swimming, because I did swim for a long time, I think running's similar. A lot of the training protocols are more passed down through coaches than it seems like there's like science on it, especially in regards to like strength training in relation to it. I think there are a few strength coaches that like have really spent like their whole lives trying to apply it to that sport. But especially in swimming, you see it all the time with like butchered strength training techniques and like strength conditioning work that has no place in the swimming program. It's like you just by applying basic theory, you could see like, all right, if the swimmer just did a basic squat, deadlift, overhead press kind of program and got generally stronger, you would probably see their swimming times increase to a certain point. Like obviously, point of diminishing returns where a 5 pound increase is a little bit too much to work for compared to the benefit they're getting on their swim time. But I think a lot of coaches like underestimate basic strength training and they see fancy kind of like we talked about like age of mobility and prehab, and does a swimmer need much more mobility if they're already like very proficient?
And would you not just like get better hip mobility, maybe just working into some deep squats rather than spending all this
exactly that is 100% my argument. It's like
extra time with bands
man. I'm so glad you touched on that. It's like it is my life struggle as a trainer.
Well, because like everybody cares about fitness and health now, which is cool.
Great.
So the thing about social media or digging things up on the internet is that polarized, weird, just odd, like things that cause reaction are the things that surface. Right.
Clickbait.
Right. And so you're not going to find the best information. You're not going to find the best videos. You're not going to find the best people. You're going to find...
You're going to find the most attractive people. You're going to find the most fun-looking exercises. You're going to find the workout of the day.
That's right.
Like, it's not...
The biggest fail.
Right. You're not going to find the dude that's just coming to the gym, grinding every day.
Right, making consistent
squat, deadlift,
gains.
press.
That's at the top of his potential.
Yeah. And he's been on the same program for the last year and a half.
Right.
Building up.
And all he posts are the same video
all the same
from
thing.
day.
Yeah, no one wants to watch that. They want to see the dude that's a genetic freak. He randomly has a 400 or 500 pound squat.
Yeah.
And will probably never go above that because he's not actually on a program. But somehow his joints are indestructible. He's never had to work for it. He can't teach anyone else how to do it. And his caption is going to say this exercise is great for quads and hip mobility. And it's he's just throwing jargon out there. It's so frustrating. I saw a post yesterday, and it was narrow stance Smith machine squats are good for hip mobility, hamstring work, glute work, and quad work. And they're not, because they don't involve any ankle flexion.
Yeah.
They don't involve any lengthening or shortening of the hamstring.
Right.
If anything, it's maybe a glute exercise, maybe a quad exercise, but none of those other benefits are even remotely true. And so but because he's a freak of an athlete, and because he's attractive, and because he has a following, people are going to be like, oh my God, that's so cool. Mind blown.
Yeah, and then some blogger is going to be like, hey, can we use this?
Yeah, right. Oh, narrow stance Smith machine squats. I've never heard of those. There's a reason. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Russians and Germans pretty much got it nailed in the 40s.
That's true.
And it hasn't changed much.
Hey, where did the kettlebell come from? Is it Russia?
Oh man, I don't know.
I was just curious.
Yeah, I really don't know. I know it's really popular in Russia.
I've seen black and white pictures of men with really a lot of facial hair.
Right. Yeah, I know it was popular in
crude.
Russia and those countries over there in that area. And I think Pavel was really the one that brought it to the U.S., but I have not been in the kettlebell game or world enough to know any of the history. I know barbell stuff.
It's kind of crazy. There's a kettlebell world now.
It's amazing.
There are gyms that are kettlebell club.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Charles and Kettlebell Club's that's where I train. Those guys are solid. And they have a great collection of barbells, which is a huge reason I train there.
Oh, wow.
Because the barbells, most people pick up a barbell, they don't know the difference between one or the other. But there's Olympic barbells, there's deadlifting barbells, there's power bars.
Okay, you lost me.
Okay. Where'd I lose you?
Okay, so I know your classic bar, I know your Olympic bar. I've seen that new weird bar that we got.
Safety squat bar.
Yeah, the safety squat bar.
Mm-hmm.
That's
it. There's there's special. Yeah, there's definitely special. Definitely curl bars. There's the Buffalo bar, which is shaped like a U. They all offer different benefits, but classic, you're gonna find a power bar, which is stiffer under heavy loads, so it doesn't bend. Olympic
is
bar.
that what we have there?
We have kind of a hybrid.
Okay, got it.
It's more commercialized and made for a general strength training.
Makes sense. Works for almost everything.
You can do a clean jerk with it. You can do a snatch with it. It's got the Olympic lines and the power lines on it. A power bar, usually those rings, the inner rings are the power rings.
Right.
You line up your hands on a bench for a squat on those. And then, like I said, power bar is going to be stiffer under a load. A deadlift bar is going to be longer and going to bend under a load. So when you take the slack out of it, you get that bend upward. It can decrease the range of motion, but it also gives you you feel a little bit more locked in. Okay. It's easier to set your back on a deadlift, especially a heavy one.
Got it.
Mostly common in powerlifting and strongman. When you have a deadlift competition, we have an axle bar, which is very popular in strongman. That's going to be very fat grip. So you're testing grip strength.
Okay, got it. That's
you have a axle bar press is a common strongman move. And then you have your Olympic bar, which is made usually made with, I believe, bearings. I could be butchering that as well. It's either bushings or bearings, so that's where the ends spin.
Right.
You want that to be as smooth as possible. So while the bar is moving through the air, the rotation of the weights doesn't mess up the rotation of your elbows when you catch it.
Man, the final frontier of Olympic movements, I'm finally working on the snatch again.
That's sick.
I got it, it's going well, and then I don't know, I just got busy, stopped working on it, and then I picked it up again, tried to mess with it, and I was like, ooh, it's gonna take some time.
Feels a little rough.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten into the Olympic lifts yet. I'm still trying to master a good deadlift, and once that hits a really good level,
that was actually why I started that big squat program, was because I wanted to actually have a fighting chance of being good at my Olympic lifts.
Nice.
Because the biggest issue I had, I had a light front squat, light back squat. So at least I'm 6 months of really consistent, at least 2 times a week. Yeah. So I can actually catch it.
Exactly. Once you catch it, you can do something with it.
Right.
Yeah, totally. It's and again, it goes back to the minimum effective dose and looking at your weaknesses. And right now, I'm happy with having a very generalized strength program, having deadlift, squats, overhead press, and bench, and not really having to do much else. I've been incorporating some kettlebell swings, some conditioning work, and I just enjoy it. I think when I did my strongman competition, my cardio was it wrecked me on some of the more endurance-based events, because there was a yoke event where a yoke is a bar you carry on your back.
Yeah,
and you walk with it.
I've seen that.
And it was
I've used that before.
Yeah, it's badass. It was a 350-pound yoke. You walk down 30 yards, you set it down, you run back, you pick up 170-pound sandbag, run back, run. I say run very, very loosely.
Heel toe.
You're just kind of trotting back. Yeah. Throw that over the yoke bar, run back, now next to that there's a zercher carry, which is a zercher carry is same as a yoke, but you carry it in your elbows here. And it feels a little like a front squat taxes your abs. That weight is pulling you forward, so you're really having to brace against it. Then you do that 30 yards, I think it was in the 200-pound range, and then run back, pick up a 220-pound beer keg, and run back, trot back, and throw that over the bar.
Does everyone drink those after?
Definitely some beer drinking. More in the Highland Games is guys drinking beer between events and stuff, and I can't wait to do more of them, because I've only done one of each really, and it was such a blast, and I have such a small voice because I have not accomplished anything in these sports, but just having dipped my toes in them, I immediately fell in love with it. So I hope people listening aren't oh, this guy doesn't know
who is this guy? Looks him up immediately.
Exactly. My lifts are not that impressive. I've not accomplished much at all yet, but I'm definitely an avid strength enthusiast, I would call myself.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, and I've seen your clients have amazing results. So.
Yeah, I try to implement the same. I believe anyone can strength train, and I think it's the best thing for anyone from 10 years old to 85 years old.
Yeah.
And it does not mean I'm trying to get an 85-year-old to squat 1,000 pounds.
Right.
If they can get up off the toilet safely without clambering everywhere and having to grab onto towel racks and stuff to get themselves up, or be at risk of falling, that to me is success.
Yeah.
And so, I do basic things basic pull downs, or pick up a kettlebell off the ground and deadlift with it.
Yeah.
Teach them basic movements.
How to set their back while they do it.
Exactly. These are basic skills that, the common phrase in good trainers is you should squat, press, push, pull, deadlift, twist, and lunge.
Yeah.
And, got those 7 things,
you're set.
If you can do all of those things with good range of motion, you're set.
Man, with some of my older clients, I really it's my favorite actually, age range. We our first mission is a full squat. Our second mission is being able to get up off the ground.
Yep.
So oftentimes we start off and you know, their balance is off, and so it's just like baby steps, working down like elevated push-ups before you know.
Exactly. It hurts my heart to see some naive trainer claim that they're working on balance while putting someone on a BOSU ball and getting them to like do curls at the same time, or just some trash like that, because it's like balance. Never in life.
BOSU loves it though.
Oh yeah, they're making bank on them. But
yeah, you want to train balance? I got it.
And the problem is that it
can't train balance without a BOSU.
Right. It's not that it's not a good exercise.
Yeah.
Like exercise versus training. Let's talk about that. Like exercising is basic movement. It's like anything that's not sitting on a couch.
Right.
In Starting Strength, Mark Ripito, sets out the definition of exercise versus training. It's kind of his own, take on the definition, but prescription for exercise is just get your heart rate up, essentially. Like anything where your heart's elevated. Training is doing something today for the effect that it has tomorrow.
Right.
So exercise, I'm going on a walk today because it feels good. Training is I'm squatting today so that tomorrow I can squat more, or so that I'm stronger, so I don't fall on the ground. And so when you see someone that's been working with a trainer that does like a bunch of tomfoolery all the time, then they believe that BOSU ball is giving them balance and stability, and it is on the BOSU ball.
Right.
But when you go to like real life and you haven't worked on a squat, you can't even perform a full squat or a full press or like anything that actually requires balance. Now you're off balance when you step backward the wrong way, or or when you're trying to put a heavy box on a shelf.
Right. And talking about being balanced through movements, like you should be balanced through a full range of all of your movements.
Not wobbly all the way down.
Right.
And I kind of get it of like the thought process of like, well, this is super unstable, so now you'll have like overcompensation when you're on flat ground. I just don't think that's how it actually works. Based off anything I've read, anything I've seen in action.
I have not seen research on that.
And I don't think it's really needed. If it comes back to minimum effective dose. If I can get someone to have better balance through teaching them how to do a bodyweight squat, do I need the BOSU ball? Maybe it does work. I don't know. But do I need it if what I'm doing is working and it's not causing the pain? And it's actually they're seeing good results. I get a 72-year-old to squat. In a business suit. One of my favorite clients. He's been training for over a year, and his name's Pat. Shout out to Pat. And he's so funny. And he loves training. He gets in the mentality of it, and he gets in the zone. And I mean, he couldn't be a better proponent for strength training at that age, because he goes and he'll go to halls with his friends in a business suit. And in his slacks, be like, "Can you squat?" And his first, "Oh, I couldn't squat." And he gets down. He'll get up at the table, do some squats, and dare his friends to do it, and they won't be able to. And it's upsetting to see how many people can't squat, which is just babies can do it. It's a basic movement. You should be able to squat.
So oddly enough, this last week was squat therapy week, and I got Judy and Stacy. I believe so. One's in 70s, one's in her 60s. To finally do multiple full range squats, and we just hammered out the movement patterns. You know what I mean? Here's what and she would just go slow. I would push her knees out.
That's awesome.
And they were both wicked sore for 4 days. So,
exactly, and that's all they needed.
We're doing it once a week.
Yep. Once a week to start, then twice a week,
that's
3 times a week, and then add a little bit more.
Add some weight.
Exactly. I mean, if you have to, if you don't have access to a gym, and you could do one thing that will help your back and your knees, and probably fight osteoporosis, and rheumatoid arthritis, all these things that plague people in the older generation. I would get on a chair, like a kitchen chair. It's where your butt is slightly lower than the top of your knees at the bottom. And practice getting up and down. And then once you can do that, do it without a chair. And then get a few books in your hand and do it again. And that is strength training. That is progressive overload. If you have no access and you hate gyms,
that's fine.
You don't need much else. Eventually if you like it enough, go to a gym. But
or go to a park and find a big rock.
Yeah, and pick it up. Like that's strength training. Like that's what it is. I mean, when I was in boarding school, we didn't have weights, so we got detergent containers, like big boxes, and we just fill it with water or rocks, whatever we could find, and we would curl with it, we'd press with it, and we got generally strong, like farm boy strength kind of thing. Like we would be lifting hay bales, and it works for 18-year-olds, but like people have this belief that it stops working at 35 because sure, the risk of injury goes up, but I think that's more from people's lifestyle habits and
I agree.
How they've gotten injured before, and you have to look at getting stronger logically, not with emotion. You have to be like, what can I do and not hurt, instead of saying I can't do anything.
Right.
You're just limiting yourself, and if you're limiting yourself at 35, which so many people do, like it's surprising how many 35-year-olds are like, oh, I'm old.
I am 34.
Right.
Yeah, I'm over the hill, guys. I'm on the slide down.
Getting old, man. Gotta put you in a retirement home soon.
Yeah, I'm checking out. There's one right there, so we're good.
Right, we're good. Just go over it. But yeah, so many people at 35 are like, oh, I'm too old for this. And
it's like, what?
How many years do you have left? Especially like our life expectancy, you know, everyone, like, because I'll be like, it's going down because of lifestyle and stuff. But a generally healthy adult, I don't think it's going to be less than 75.
No, absolutely not.
And so at 35, you now have 50 years left where you're incapable of anything. You're telling yourself that. And if a doctor has told you that, you need to find a different doctor.
100% I agree.
It's like, why would a doctor whose job
Dude,
is
I have heard from so many people that are like, my doctor's running's bad for my knees. And I was like, you know what's bad for your diabetes?
Yeah.
Not running.
Yeah, right. And I can see that. I mean, if you don't have any strength built up in your legs and you have a bad back, like maybe another form of cardio would be better for you, less impact on the joints. And if you're not a runner, you don't like, I hate running.
That's
you can't
fair.
pay me enough to run.
I just love it.
If you love it,
I'm going to be
go
so depressed these 2 weeks.
See, if I had a reason not to run, I'd be like, I don't even have a reason not to run, and I just don't do it. I'm just not going to do it. You can't pay me enough to. I won't do it.
It's okay. I have exactly 0 friends that will run with me right now.
Oh man, I'll swim. Like,
Valerie's like, we'll just lift together.
Yeah, lifting's fun.
Yeah.
Lifting's fun. Can't run. Yeah, I mean, but I see your point completely. It's like so many doctors that don't lift and don't work out.
And they don't like weigh the hazards of not doing it.
Yeah.
Like think about that. Like you are losing muscle mass, you're losing bone density. Like, and muscle's cardioprotective, and they don't know why, but it's shown it over and over again in research studies. The more muscle mass you have, like lean mass, you know, assuming you're not like a bodybuilder that's like doping.
Right. Like me.
Right, like you. We know it's not real. There's no way. But yeah, like it's very cardioprotective. So why are they, you know, saying like that this small potential risk of injury is more important than all the benefits that you get? It's
not like you just like snap your leg.
Right.
Unless you're on a muddy, slippery slope, you know.
Then you do.
Right. Right. But it's not like you just suddenly step outside and you break yourself.
Right.
Same thing with lifting. I've never, outside of just someone with trash form, I've never seen someone just like snap their back in half. Like,
no, I've never
or just
seen
like
that.
snap a muscle.
I spend a lot of time in gyms.
Yeah, I've never seen it happen. I've seen people with trash form not get hurt, and like they won't listen to anyone to give them advice because they're not hurt. And this is like years of them doing like good mornings for squats or like just cat back deadlifts and like, you know, so if they're not getting hurt, like the risk of injury for lifting, especially if you're just gauging it on like, oh, that felt good, I'll do a little more, like you're not gonna get hurt. It's very safe. Like it couldn't be. The risk for injury in lifting is probably the lowest compared to any other activity. Yeah. Including sitting on the couch. Like, you know how many people sit on the couch all day like my back is killing me. Like, you're gonna complain about that, but you're not gonna lift because you're afraid of hurting your back. Your back already hurts.
So like recently, I've got a couple online clients who have like physical therapists that say that back squat is dangerous. How do you feel about that?
God. What's their argument for it?
A compression.
Okay, that's. I see that a lot.
Disease.
I see that a lot.
Yeah.
And there's Barbell Medicine is a really great company.
Cool.
It's run by physicians that are like high level powerlifters. Like these guys like deadlift like close to 700 pounds. Like, and they know the human body very well. And they talk about the science of like degenerative disc diseases and different stuff like that. And they look at peer-reviewed articles and literature and kind of break them down really well. I would highly suggest looking at that. It's called Barbell Logic. Sorry, Barbell Medicine.
Okay,
Barbell
sweet.
Medicine. And they're very solid guys. They're a branch of they branch off of Starting Strength.
Okay.
So they started their own company.
Cool.
And they talk about like degenerative disc disorders and stuff like that, and how it's it's not exactly what it sounds like. And when you compare two scans of the same back, let's say it's a really bad degenerative back, and you could have one person that has no pain and another person that has extreme chronic pain, and we really don't know what causes the pain or what makes one person different than the other, and so you can't say that pain is from the back stuff.
Right.
And then they also you look at compression of the spine. I really think when you get stronger in a back squat and a deadlift, you're building up muscle tissue around the spine to support it. Like muscles support joints. That's their primary role.
True.
If you have joint pain and you stop building muscle, you usually end up with more joint pain.
Yeah.
And so if you're training those muscles with a back squat or a deadlift, the spine will have more support. And then on top of that, the discs were meant, like we have space between it.
Right.
Can't remember right now what the anatomical name is. The between the discs.
Right. Herniated disc.
No, what's the jelly?
Intervertebral disc.
I can't remember the name for it right now. It's like completely.
Synovial fluid.
Maybe. It's the space between discs.
Okay.
Like vertebrae. Like.
Yeah.
I'm butchering that, but that's meant to compress and expand.
Right.
Like, and so I think for me, I've found that, and for my clients, I've found that a healthy amount of traction in opposition of the compressive load. Donnie Thompson does this a lot. Like he'll actually hang from the squat rack like upside down, attached to like bands, and it provides traction on the lower back. Cool. And I just use like a hang from a pull-up bar, for example. Like that can help a lot with the tightness and stuff associated with those things, but I really don't see enough science.
Do you hang like straight from your
hands?
Cool.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's like bonus grip strength. You're also hitting like your shoulders. I've heard people say, I think they had a physical therapy background, that if people with shoulder issues would do hangs every day, they could probably fix almost all of their shoulder.
Yeah, 100%. People say like, I hurt my rotator cuff, but the rotator cuff is like, it's a bunch of different muscles. It's not like one muscle that you tear or hurt. And like usually strengthening those muscles through hanging and through pressing. I'm a big believer in opposites. So if I'm doing a back squat and my shoulders tucked back and I'm like really tight and there's some compressive load, like I'm gonna hang from pull-up bar between it, or I'll even just hang on the barbell itself if I have a client that's not strong enough to hang from a pull-up bar. And I have 75-year-olds doing this, and it's like they see much more benefit in their daily life than they do any I've never had someone that's like my pain is increased from getting stronger.
Right.
Like, never had that happen. Like outside of someone just lifting something the wrong way, even when I told them not to. That they'd be like, yeah, my back was sore today, and then 2 days later it's fine. I've never had someone like, oh no, my back pain's gotten worse since I've learned how to overhead press or squat. Or
right.
And you have to look at if you have someone with really poor shoulder mobility and they can't get on a barbell, that's the point of the safety squat bar, is you'll hold it here. And if you don't have one of those, you can front squat. Like, there's so many workarounds, and it comes back to the minimum effective dose of like, how can we work around these issues to find the next best thing. Go filter through it and say, before we do front squats, let's see if you can do a low bar back squat. If you can't do that, let's try a high bar squat. If you can't do that, front squat. There's a tier system. You know?
Dude, I completely agree. And I try to like create like workouts that I program for myself to be essentially, if I can do 3x10 reps at whatever the heck it is, like I need to change what I'm doing. So I don't know, say I can do like 3x10 reps of like kipping handstand push-ups. Like, okay, cool, I got kipping handstand push-ups. So that's kind of going to be a waste of time if I keep doing 3x10. So I can, you know, either make it deeper by adding a couple of plates, or like make myself finally learn how to do them strict. You know, and maybe I'm only doing like 2 at a time, which is fine. Yeah,
that's totally fine. I think I'm also not good at body weight training. I think, you know, even Pavel even said like calisthenics training is almost more difficult than any of the other ones, because there's so many little things to learn, especially when you're dealing with like your own body weight. Like people think body weight, but it's like if you're trying to do a push-up and you can't do a push-up, and then you go to a bench press and you can't even press, like let's say you weigh 200 pounds, you can't even bench press 100 pounds. It's gonna be hard to do a push-up. Like, it's obvious. And then the push-up position's probably even like stricter than a bench press position. Probably more range of motion. So I can see how, you know, body weight training is very hard to program for. But the guys that I train with, like they do body weight programs. They talk a lot about how they utilize the barbell lifts to increase it. So if like I'm trying to get my push-up strength or my pull-up strength up, I'm gonna try to get my deadlift or bench or squat higher, depending on what my goal is. You know?
I like cherry picking like the CrossFit movements I can't do, and then like doing my own little programming around it. Like okay, like how am I gonna get there? So I started doing a whole lot more strict press, strict overhead press. And then when I was working on the kip, still like push press, push jerk, since I can kip, and it's kind of the same.
Exactly. And it's kind of like strongman. Like you have to know what. And part of the hard thing about training for strongman is that, from what I've heard from other people too, is like you never know what the implements are going to be.
Which I think is cool.
It's very cool, and I think it relates to like that's kind of how strongman or CrossFit is set up as well. You never know what it's going to be, so you need to have general fitness. Strongman is definitely more prioritized towards strength. Sure, but you never know what the implements are going to be or how they're shaped, and most of them are really weird implements that you're never going to use in a gym. But I found like, you know, having a 500-pound deadlift made the training for strongman much easier. And like, so when I got to the car deadlift, it was more of a rack pull. It was like a piece of cake. And these guys that couldn't deadlift even 300 pounds couldn't even get 1 rep on the car deadlift because they had never seen a deadlift before. But like guys that had a good deadlift, it was like, this is our event. Like, this is what we do. Same thing with picking up a heavy rock. It's like, I don't necessarily need to have the specific rock that we're using, but if I can deadlift a full range of motion deadlift, like off the ground with 500 pounds, like 100-pound rocks aren't gonna be a hard problem.
I'm gonna go off on a small rant.
Go for it,
On full range. Man, so I can't tell you how many people like do not understand what a full range movement push-up or squat or deadlift or heck an overhead press. Like, it's just like, you know, I have to just be like, hey, you're just a member here. You're just a member. Like, they don't care what you think.
Exactly.
But and I mean, they like, they just don't know.
They really don't. I think for a squat, it varies on the squat. So high bar squat, front squat, you're going to see a lot deeper. Goblet squat, you're going to see a lot deeper than a low bar back squat. You should, because in a low bar back squat, you're trying to keep your hamstrings tight. Your adductors should catch the bottom of the movement. If you go down too far, like ass to grass, it's going to be, you're going to lose all your tightness. And in powerlifting and strength training, you're creating tension under really heavy loads.
Right.
So you lose that tension.
Yeah, and as far as powerlifting, like your goal is to hit the range and come straight back, right?
Yeah. So in powerlifting, you always have full lockout.
Right.
Like no one's ever like done a half squat and actually had it count. But like you're trying to hit hips below the top of your knees.
Right.
And obviously full lockout. Like the legs have to be locked out. In a squat.
I mean, that's a full range.
That's full range
in
motion,
everyone's.
I think what happens is
definition.
When you're looking at the average person in the gym squatting, like I have all my clients do it barefoot because tennis shoes are the worst thing possible squatting. It's like I attribute it to like if you're trying to hammer a nail into a piece of wood, you put a sponge on the hammer. Like that nail might go in eventually, like a bunch of sponges. Like it's just absorbing all of the force you're putting on the ground. And running shoes are meant to put you onto the ball of your foot.
Right.
And in a squat, you want to be in the middle of your foot. So when you're looking at people squat in a gym, they're usually pushing their knees forward instead of out.
Right.
They're not sitting back. They're staying on the ball of their foot. They're going down to the point where they naturally stop. Because if they went any lower, hurts their knees, or their back has to round out because the femur runs into the hips, and so then the back compensates for it.
Yeah.
So if you teach that person to like drive the knees out over the hips, put the bar a little lower on their back, it usually fixes the problem. Raise their heels if they don't want to buy lifting shoes, but I'm like, as a swimmer, one guy ever came to practice in like a beach swimsuit. And we'd shoot him out for it. Because like you don't wear that to practice. You wear a Speedo. As ridiculous as it can look, you get over it when you're trying to be a good swimmer. So when you're trying to be a good lifter.
Do they have like board shorts?
Yeah. It came in surfing shorts. And we were like, dude, what is that? And like the coach was like, you can't swim. Like you just can't. Because you're going to slow everyone around you down because you're going to be swimming 10 seconds slower. Yeah, you're wearing a parachute to swim with. And so it comes down, and it's the same thing with squatting.
That's funny.
If you're not going to invest in lifting shoes, invest, or at least take your shoes off and learn how to like feel the ground with your feet. Because that's your rooting system, and that's the only thing that connects you to the ground.
Yeah.
And that is the only way you can really tell how you're balanced in squat. So.
Speaking of which, I've been slowly going. I don't think I have I thought I might have had my squishy running shoes here, but I've been like slowly going from normal running shoe, heel, toe, big squish, all the way down to
like minimalist running shoe.
Yeah, these.
One of those. Yeah. Totally.
So I've been wearing these for like 6 months, but it took me like 4 years to
build up to that.
Yeah, to get.
I don't think running shoes are bad.
Yeah.
And I don't run, so I don't need them. But like I have no need for running shoes. But I do wear hiking boots throughout the day because I really like the support it gives me just walking on hard surfaces.
Yeah.
If I was walking around in a forest all day, I'd probably walk barefoot.
Yeah.
Like it's very soft. If I had a job on the beach, I'd walk barefoot. But walking on concrete and hard floors is like
I would say like walking on unnatural surfaces, trying to be natural about it.
That whole natural argument, I like it. I get it. I get it, but you can't attribute it to everything. It's like when people are like, well, you should just eat everything that comes from the ground. It's like, well, there's poison things that come from the ground. Like it's a nice theory on the surface level, but there are certain things that you still shouldn't eat.
Has anyone seen Into the Wild?
Exactly.
They killed him.
Exactly. So everything that comes with the earth is its magical ingredient. So that's it's a strongman argument for what to put in your body. Now I get don't eat processed stuff, and I'm not a nutritionist, but it comes back to the shoes too. It's like we're on concrete surfaces all the time. We weren't, when you're making the argument of like we were never meant to wear shoes. They were walking on sand. And dirt
well,
and
also
grass.
I think people made like fashioned shoes like very early on, like with around whatever they had.
Yeah.
I'd have to look that up.
Like moccasin.
Right.
Yeah.
But so anyways, I think we've had like forms of shoes for a very, very long time.
And I get the minimalist, like, I want to feel, and for lifting, minimalist shoe, flat shoe, lifting shoe with a little heel lift. 100%, that's all I use. But walking around all day, every day on concrete, hiking boots for me like work the
Yeah.
best. Like I've gone through tennis shoes that get trashed, and so far that's been the best thing for me. So that's just my thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, one of the retirement demands that I have for me and Madison is we have to live somewhere where I can run on trails out of my back door.
Nice.
That's it.
I was in boarding school in Montana. We had that.
But it's too cold.
No, it wasn't bad at all.
Really?
Like summer in Montana is like 75. It's
Okay.
perfect. It's amazing.
That is perfect.
Those trails, we would walk out of the dorm and there were like miles of trails to go. And it was amazing. The only time in my life I ever ran was in the mountains. If I lived in the mountains of like Idaho or Montana, I would run all the time. I would be outside every day. I would be bow hunting. I'd be doing all the outdoorsy shit. When you live in a hot, like, concrete jungle,
correct,
it's hard to get outside. Like, I love backpacking. I backpacked for 6 months at a time. Like, I love it, but I'm not going to drive 3 hours to North Carolina to go for like a day and a half on these like wimpy trails. It's like skiing out here. Once you've skied in Idaho, it's hard to ski on the East Coast. I've gone a few times even in the good spots.
There is skiing here?
Barely.
Okay, I was like, I didn't even know.
Skiing. It's more like hill surfing in the snow. I don't know. It's like it's like the equivalent of like surfing versus like wakeboarding. Like,
yeah.
You know, what time is it?
I was trying to. We gotta cut it.
Oh no.
Dang. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Well, that was a lot of fun.
I know for sure.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we're about to close it out. Thank you, Richard, so much for coming on.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're totally gonna have him back because he's amazing.
Thanks.
Until next week.
Have a good time. Thanks. Cool.
Oh, show.